Hello friends, I am Shyam Tamankar. I welcome you all to an audio-visual program MSBT Lead Learning at Your Doorsteps. Here we are going to deal with Course Outcome 2, Unit Outcome 5, Part B of the Subject Management Code 22509. Now in this Unit Outcome 5, Part B, we will see how the competency mapping is done actually, the process of competency mapping and competency building. In part A, we saw what are the different core skills which are required to do any job and the competencies required. So core skills are the part and parcel of that competencies, and how you do the competency mapping by creating a competency map. So essentially, the meaning of it is that when you are selecting people, recruiting people for a certain position, you must see that the competencies of that particular person matches with the job requirement. So what is the content of this part? Now we'll see actually what are the steps to be taken for competency mapping. We'll see competence required for employment, and we will see competence building with an example. So we have seen this picture in the last part also, and message is very loud and clear that you must select and recruit a person for a particular job. He has matching competencies for that job. So you must put a square peg in a square hole and a round peg in a round hole. थोडक्यात मराठीत सांगायचं झालं तर जिथे घोड्याची आवश्यकता आहे तिथे घोडाच घ्यावा लागेल, आणि जिथे गाढवाची आवश्यकता आहे तिथे गाढव घ्यावं लागेल. कारण घोड्याचं काम गाढव करू शकणार नाही आणि गाढवाचं काम घोडा करू शकणार नाही. So the message is another message that as a manager, one must understand that selecting and recruiting right person at a right place at a right time by mapping competencies and building on it thereafter are the steps towards success. So you must bring in right people. They must place or position them at the right place in the organizational structure. You must recruit people at the right point of time. Do not delay, but you have to make the competency mapping before selecting and recruiting. And if some deficiencies are there in the competencies, management must help that person to develop by giving a chance of competence building, by providing training and coaching. If you are able to do this, then you will definitely get the success. Now, what are the steps in competency mapping? A lot of things we have discussed in last part, so we will move a bit fast. So decide the position for which the competencies need to be mapped. So you create the job requirements, competencies required for that particular job. Identify the location of the position in the organizational structure. So you identify the position. So whether it is a production manager or a departmental head, machine shop head, or a particular section head. So you identify the location. Then what is the objectives of that function? So what is going to be achieved by the function at that particular position? Now, what is the role of that person when he is doing that job? So, what is the objective of that role? So, whenever you are positioned, you carry on that role. When you are put as a production manager, you do the role of a production manager, isn't it? So, what are the objectives of the role? Why does the position exist? You have to give the justification. When you are creating a position, then justification has to be there why the position exists. Then you collect and create the job description of any position to make a list of all tasks and activities to be performed by the position holder. So that is called as the job description. You create the job description and you create the job requirements as already said. You create those job requirements like knowledge, skills, attitude, physical fitness required at that particular position. Now the further part is then you interview the position holder to list the tasks and activities expected. So generally when you create the job description, you have to interview the person who is actually working on the job. So a lot of clarification you can receive by interviewing that person who is already doing, and you can refine on the task and activities to be done. Then interview the position holder to list the actual knowledge, attitude, skill and other competencies required for performing the task effectively. So then you go on listing the actual knowledge of that person, the attitude of that person, skills of that person and other competencies if any required for performing the task effectively. So again you refine the job requirements by interviewing that person. Now further, by after doing all these interviews, you create the records with your comments and suggestion and submit it to the respective authorities. Shop floor supervisor must take an active part in competency mapping process, particularly deciding on the job description and job requirements for his section workers who are working under him or would work under him. That means while the process of selection. Now, what is the competence required for employment? We'll see one example. So, in industries, employment is offered to a candidate based on his or her educational qualification, skills required, the job knowledge, and the physical fitness. These are the obvious expectation to carry out assigned tasks. So, you create your CV or profile. So, you mention all these things. What is your educational qualification? What are the skills you have? What is the job knowledge you have? Do you have any experience? How you are physically fit and so on. So why you create that CV? So that the person who is going to interview you can understand the education and the skills and so on required for that position. Now take the example of the wireman. So it requires knowledge of electrical technology and a valid certification. He must be a certified electrician. He must know how to use the hand tools, that is the drilling machine, pliers, screwdriver, so on and so forth. So various hand tools are used by him and he should be able to operate those hand tools effectively and efficiently. Then he should be able to use different equipment such as portable ladders. Using of ladder is very important for a technician or a electrician. He must know what is the PPE required for his job, the hard hat and the goggle and the gloves and the shoes, who are current resistant, so on and so forth. Along with this, the other requirements are good eyesight. So physical fitness, he must have the good eyesight. Then he must be able to work at height. So ease of working at height without fear and general physical fitness. So what is competence building? Now we have seen what is competence. We have seen what is competency mapping. Now we'll see competence building. Based on the job to be performed, identify the skills and the attitudes required. So whatever the job is to be done, for that job you identify the skills and what is the attitude required for that job. Identify for each person performing the job the level of skills and the desired attitude is present. So you find out the level, how much skills he has. See, it may not be the case that every person has got the complete skill or an entire complete required attitude. So he may be less on the particular skills. Out of 5 skills, he may be good on 3 skills and he may be weak on 2 skills, or there may be some requirement to develop his attitude. So firstly, we have to recruit people with required competence for a given job. So first thing is that you have to recruit people, you confirm that they have the required competence while selecting them. And whenever there is a gap, if you find there is a gap in particular skill or particular type of attitude, the same can be filled through the appropriate training and education. So it is the management duty to impart the training and education for that person to develop on his skills and attitude. Now we will try to understand this with the help of another example of the forklift operator in relation with his ability to drive a forklift. Now a forklift operator requires following knowledge and skills, attitude and physical fitness for driving a forklift. What are the knowledge and skills? To drive, he has to obtain a driving license or authorization by attending suitable training program. So he must have a license and he must have an authorization from the authority of the company that he can drive a forklift. No one else without authorization can operate the forklift. He should have skills to negotiate it at corners. Because generally in factories, the alleys and gangways are small, the corners are sharp, and you know that the forks of the forklift are extended further, and so you must have the skill to negotiate at the corners, take the judgment of size and weight of the load. You must have that skill to take the judgment of the load, and there are different types of load of having different volume and weight, and he must know how to lift and lower the load. He must know how to balance it. He should be aware about the safe working limit of the forklift. So there is a particular tonnage he can work with. He cannot, cross the limit of that tonnage. If it is a 5-ton forklift, he cannot lift the weight which is beyond 5 tons, otherwise the forklift will topple. He should know basic maintenance of the forklift, how to do the basic maintenance, day-to-day maintenance. You should be able to charge it if it is electrical, or fuel it with diesel if it is diesel operated. You should be aware about the checklist before the forklift is to be started. So whenever you start the forklift operation in the morning, he must have a checklist, and then he must check all the points about the working of the forklift as well as about the safety of the forklift. So you should be aware about all those points. He should know where and how to park it and importance of it. So forklifts are to be parked at an assigned place. You cannot park it anywhere. So you have to park it when the work is over at an assigned place, and there is a method or way of parking it. He must know how to park it, how to lower the forks, how to put the handbrake, and how to put the blocks around the tire, so on and so forth. About the physical fitness, he must be physically fit, mentally fit, as his work is very hard, strenuous, and it may create a physical as well as mental fatigue. So he must have the ability to work long hours without developing any fatigue. His eyesight and reflexes must be good. Eyesight should be sharp and reflexes should also be sharp. So in case of any eventuality, he can immediately avert that situation. Now, what is the attitude and behavior? He should be a team player as he has to coordinate with his assistant or signaler and other people in the department. He should be patient and cool-headed as he has to stop number of times at crossings or for rearrangements of loads or for some other unspecified reason. So he must be cool-headed, must have patience to stop for some time. He should not be impatient. He should be alert and watchful while carrying the load. He should look around from the corner of his eyes. He must have that ability to look from the corner of his eyes to see if anybody is approaching without noticing it, and should hoot alarm at crossing and wherever necessary. He should be stern or disciplined as not to allow anybody sitting near the driver or do any tricks or horseplay with the forklift. Now, to develop this attitude and behavior, he may have to attend various behavioral training programs. So, behavior or the attitude is very, very important in case of the forklift driver. And if the management finds that he is lacking somewhere in the attitude and behavior, then he must go through the behavioral training program. So, friends, this is the way that we have seen how the competency can be mapped and how the competency can be built if there are certain gaps in those competencies. So thank you very much for hearing patiently. Now we'll meet in the further part, that is course outcome 2, unit outcome 5, part C. Thank you very much.